Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Adebola Adedba. The top stories at this hour. Normalcy returns to Emir Sanusi's palace after security operatives laid siege. The Chief of Army Staff, Olufemi Oluyede, seeks support in fight against insurgency. Ghana's opposition candidate, ex-President John Mahama, casts his vote in general election. And details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that normalcy has returned to Kano and surrounding states as security operatives vacated the premises of the Kofo Kudu Gidan Rumfa Palace, the official home of the Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II. A News Central's correspondent, Emmanuel Bogudo, reports that youths and supporters of the Emir Sanusi have started converging on the palace in preparation of a mini carnival in celebration of the Emir. Recall that the officers of the Nigerian police laid siege on the Emir Sanusi's palace on Friday, stopping the Emir from escorting the newly coronated Waban Kano to Bichi. Our correspondent joins us now, Emmanuel Bagudu, who is live there. Emmanuel, good evening. Glad to have you join me on the news. What's the latest where you are regarding the Emir?
Yeah, good evening from Kano. Yeah, the latest is the fact that everywhere is calm. The tension is no longer there. I'm standing right at the center of the Emir Sanusi's palace, talking about the Kofo Kudu Palace, where the youths are already converging to hold a party up to 10 p.m. in celebration of the Emir. For as far as they're concerned, it was a successful, outing for the Emir yesterday, who have, successfully coronated the Wamban Kano, which is the Emir of the district head of Bichi. Unfortunately, he was interrupted, but of course, with their resistance, they are happy that he wasn't hurt. There was not any harm. There was not any, crisis as a result of that interruption from the federal police. Of course, the authorities are yet to come out with facts that the authorities concerned, talking about Nigerian police, the DSS, and of course, other security agencies are yet to come out with statement providing reasons why they did that. But of course, we saw a statement from the Kano state government yesterday, who actually condemned the move and are actually saying that they are waiting for the police and other security agencies to come out with a valid explanation of what led to that. Yeah.
Well, in as much as you have said youths in the state are happy, so to speak, regarding the coronation of the Waban Kano to Bichi, do we have any voice of dissent, not satisfied with this development?
Yes, a lot of them are not satisfied, of course, especially the supporters of Emir Sanusi, which, of course, arguably the majority. Of course, it's not surprising. Of course, we know that this is been expected. As we had a privilege of speaking with those from the Ado Bayero divide who actually came out to tell us that they actually support this move because the Sanusi in any way is not supposed to parade himself as the Emir of Kano, up to an extent of performing such duties of coronating the Wamban Kano, which is a very, very influential traditional title in the state. So, of course, there are unconfirmed reports that a lot of stakeholders are gathering around, Sanusi, and because of that event, and then the Emir, who is an economist, a very controversial, who always deal with controversial issues, may likely speak on the tax reform issue. So, I mean, probably that's a rumor, unconfirmed rumors, alleged rumors that that was the reason why he was being blocked. But we have had the privilege of speaking, from both sides of the divide, and those from the Ado Bayero extraction divide actually were happy with the move because they believe the coronation of the Wamban Kano is supposed to be done by their principal, who is in person of Aminu Ado Bayero, who is currently residing and is Gidan Nasara Palace. But of course, Sanusi did the honor, and of course they are not happy with it. And of course, they are supporting the move by the officers of men of Nigerian police who have blocked the Emir from escorting the Wamban Kano, that's the Emir Bichi, to his home in Bichi, which is just 30 minutes drive from the Kano City Center. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for your coverage. We'll keep in touch with you, of course, to see how things take shape. Many thanks indeed, Emmanuel Bagudu. A newly appointed Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, says it is time to end insurgency and other security concerns in Borno State and other parts of the country. And this was during the first official visit of the 24th Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, to Maiduguri in Borno State, where they discussed emerging challenges and pathways of ending the crisis with Borno State Governor Professor Babangida Zulum. News Central's correspondent Umaru Kirawa tells us more.
The battle to ending insecurity in Borno and other states in the Lake Chad is continuing. Nigeria's 24th Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, arrived Maiduguri to seek support and discuss strategies of ending the years of insurgency.
Knowing the attitude of the governor and his perception about the entire insecurity within this region, I believe together we can bring an end, a final end to insecurity within the region. So, my aim this evening is to come to beg more for your support as the governor, and also to impress on the people that I think it's high time we stop the whole thing.
Borno State Governor Professor Babangida Zulum, in his response, urged the Army Chief to strengthen the resilience of frontline troops and appeal for support to resettle more displaced communities.
I received letters from the government of Niger many times that our people are willing to come back. So now we're excavating it. We have everything in manufacturing. Now, government has provided 20 vehicles, 10 new land cruisers to both civilian jet and army. And I'm ready to provide additional support. But people are afraid. There's no way. Some must be killed. Without human population, insurgency will never end. Once we get this town settled, believe me sincerely, Borno State will beat 1/3 of the nation.
The governor has raised alarm that Boko Haram and ISWAP fighters who attacked Chadian troops in Chad Republic recently have relocated to Borno State, urging for effective response.
So we'll also appeal to Mr. President to release funds so that the operations of MNJTM will take place. MNJTM also has some certain problem of management. There is a need for us to separate civilian administration and MNJTM administration. Where possible, please look into the possibility of establishing a brigade in Mudumari. And I want to assure you that in partnership with the government of Borno State, inshallah, we shall succeed.
The Chief of Army Staff for the next few days will embark on operational tour within and outside the state. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
A group known as the Great Benin Descendants has issued a strong warning to agitators fighting for the sovereign state of Biafra over plans to annex several parts of Edo lands as states of the Biafra Republic. And this was made known in Benin City, the Edo state capital, during a press briefing where the group says that the plans will be firmly resisted, while calling for the respect of the territorial integrity of Benin and their right to remain part of Nigeria. They say they will do whatever it takes to safeguard their heritage.
We have 12 resolutions reached. Resolution number 1. There is urgent need for total unity and backup from the center, which is Benin Kingdom, through our royal father to all Great Benin people. No part of Benin land, no matter the propaganda and threat, will be ceded to the imaginary Biafra.
Ahead of the planned protest scheduled for Tuesday over the arrest and remand of human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi, the Ekiti State Police Command has banned any form of protest and demonstrations in the state. Farotimi, who had been since remanded in prison custody by an Ado Ekiti Chief Magistrate Court, was arrested last Tuesday in Lagos by operatives of the State Police Command over allegations of defamation against him. He was accused of defaming a renowned lawyer and founder of Afe Babalola University, Ado Ekiti, Afe Babalola, son, in his book titled Nigeria and Its Criminal Justice System. However, The human rights activists are calling for protests in Lagos, Abuja, and Ado-Ekiti on Tuesday, 10th December. The Obidient Movement had earlier issued a warning of nationwide protests should human rights lawyer and activist Dele Farotimi remain in detention. In a statement signed by the movement's national coordinator, Dr. Tanko Yunusa, the group condemned the arrest as an abuse of power aimed at silencing dissent. And to unpack this, we're joined by member Labour Party Abayomi Arabambi. Good evening, glad to have you join me on the news. Okay, if you can hear me, Mr. Arabambi, how do you perceive the threatened nationwide strike by the Obidient Movement if Dele Farotimi isn't released?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if you are listening to me, I think we need to take, the whole issue right from where it commences. I think the legal luminary, wrote a petition to the police alleging criminal defamation. He didn't say the man just libeled him, but he wrote a petition concerning criminal, defamation. And what are some of the issues the man wrote there? It is funny if a lawyer, will say that Arabalola corrupted the court to procure fraudulent judgment in the service of his claim. Corrupted. This will now take us to issue of, the Evidence Act. When you allege that somebody corrupted the judiciary, the Supreme Court for that matter, you are talking about the eminent juries there. One of them has to come to court to tender evidence against that legal luminary. And once you are unable to achieve that, no matter the noise anybody is making, he will be in for it because he is a lawyer. I presume he ought to know his onion. Now, regarding the Obidient, I thank your TV for referring to them as a group. They are not members of the Labour Party. I do not want them to begin to give us name or images that does not correlate with our constitution or manifesto. They have no right, ab initio, or anybody whatsoever to now be threatening the peace and stability of Nigeria via a protest. And I'll be very explicit about that. Criminal defamation is between him, Balola, and an institution, the Supreme Court. So it is not good for anybody, even including Atiku Abubakar, that was now trying to lay claim to the fact that, probably he's a voice of the opposition. Farotimi is not the voice of anybody. He's just a voice for himself. And he needs to remember that Shivaji Babalola is a grandfather, a great-grandfather that has children, that have children of children. So nobody will just sit down in the comfort of his office because of your hatred or for whatever reason. You will now go and publish in a book that the man has no integrity, the man has corrupted the judiciary, the man is this, the man is that. It is wrong, for God's sake. And I'm even disappointed in the NBA for them to have even issue a press statement in that regard. Must everybody take to the street with cutlasses and gun because somebody defame or defame you? How can you call such a man at what age saying he corrupted the judiciary? Where is your evidence? As far as I'm concerned, Dele Farotimi made an outlandish and very funny, unsubstantiated, allegation against the man that he needs to prove. So for anybody to now be threatening the peace of Nigeria or to conduct themselves in a manner likely to come to peace, the police should arrest all of them. This is the country that is governed by law. Election is over. And the people ask family, for God's sake. Nobody will just come to me and say, your mother didn't born you for your father. It is so person. You must have your brain with you before you come and tell me such. So if Babalola has gone to court, I think they should allow the court to do their matter. It is not for disobedient who are paid by the outcome of 2023 election to not just be making mess of everything that come out. How could nobody have come out to say the voice of opposition was what they are trying to silence? What is the business of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a family of Afe Babalola. And moreover, let me tell you, Afe Babalola was against Tinubu presidency. In fact, Baba Basojo worked for our party.
Well, Mr. Arabambi,
so
apologies for butting in there, but just staying on this matter regarding, human rights lawyer and activist Dele Farotimi, and of course, as well as Are Afe Babalola. I mean, he has responded that Are Afe Babalola has alleged that the arrest of Farotimi wasn't on alleged defamation, but on refusal to appear in court to defend the alleged defamation. What are your thoughts on this?
No. What the police, you have seen the charge sheet of what the police did. The charge sheet is very clear. You understand? It was on the petition written by Babalola, Afe Babalola. It was based on criminal defamation. Let me tell you the way law works. If I write a petition against somebody for burglar, intrusion, that is what the police will prefer against you. It is not for them to manufacture what I didn't write in my this thing. Now, let me be very honest with you. For criminal defamation, we have it in our constitution. Because a lot of them, they might claim they don't know, but we need to let them know that some of us know what is happening. The criminal, a criminal defamation is stated in section 59 of the Nigerian Constitution, of the criminal, code, whereby anything, that involves you in media, where you purportedly, go ahead to publish anything that could cause injury, crisis, disturbance to the person that you did it, is a criminal defamation, which you have to prove, in the court of law. That is what it means. So for him to have put it in the print, it is a criminal defamation, because this is what a lot of people, they are going to read, for life, and a lot of people will believe, some will not believe, but deliberately he has impugned on the integrity and character of Chief Afe Babalola. That is one. He has impugned on the integrity and character of the entire judiciary. So as far as I'm concerned, he had section 59 of the Criminal Act, publication of false news with intent to cause fear and alarm to the public, section 59 of the Criminal Code. Any person who publishes, reproduces any statement, rumor, report, which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public or disturb the public peace, knowing or having reason to believe that such a statement, rumor, or report is false, is guilty of misdemeanor and liable to be conviction of imprisonment of 3 years. This is what the Criminal Code. But people of disobedience, they don't read our constitution. All what they read is article of Peter Obi, manifesto of Peter Obi, and article. But Nigeria has gone beyond that. I want to advise them that they should go and study the constitution of Nigeria. Criminal Code was not written by Basojo. It was not written by Atiku. It was not written by Tinubu or anybody. This was the constitution of Nigeria. Now, look at what they are doing now. This is what the constitution is saying. Because some people say they want to protest, you are likely to conduct yourself in an act that is capable of causing breach of peace as stated in. Because now, a person who publishes or reproduces with an intent to cause fear and alarm to the public or disturb the public peace.
And that's a fine place to leave it.
What Farotimi published, he is trying not to destroy public peace, but he has to have it based in court. Nobody should protest. It is not their right to protest for Farotimi, because it means they are even insulting the person of Afe Babalola, who has built an image for himself.
Apologies, I need to butt in here. Sincere apologies. I need to cut you short. We're pressed for time, but thank you so much for your expertise on the news. Member, Labour Party, Abayomi Arabambi, many thanks indeed for your expertise.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break. Now, when we return, we'll cross live to Ghana, where we'll have our correspondent, Bernard Akede, monitoring the Ghanaian parliamentary and presidential election. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Opposition candidate and ex-president John Dramani Mahama cast his vote in the Ghanaian city of Bole in a tight presidential election race, pitting him against Vice President and former central banker Mahamudu Bawumia. Ghanaians have voted in a closely contested presidential election featuring Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia and opposition ex-president John Mahama. Economic challenges, including high inflation, debt default, and a $3 billion IMF bailout, have dominated the campaign. Voters will choose a successor to President Nana Akufo-Addo completing his 2 terms and elect a new parliament. Let's cross live to what is known as the former Gold Coast, and that's Ghana, where we have our correspondent Bernard Akedi on standby. Bernard, good evening. It's glad to have you join me on the news. Tell us what's happening regarding elections in Ghana.
All right, thank you for having me, Debola. Good evening. This is past 5 p.m. here in Ghana, past 6 in Nigeria, and officially voting has closed by 5 p.m. And what you're looking at right now behind me is the collation and counting of the votes here in, it's called New Asafo in basic school in, I think the area is called Asukwa, is what it's called, I've been told, is what's called. Now, just behind me there is the box of the presidential ballots have been broken open, and now under the watchful eyes of party agents, the electoral officials are going through the papers, the ballots basically, sorting them out according to the votes and counting them right in front of of the party agents who are watching. So far, so good. It's been clear. It's been fine. And I'll see if I can get one of the party agents to speak with. Okay, I've been told that he can't join me right now. He is focusing on the collation and counting of the papers.
But just bring us up to speed, and how would you describe the process of these elections so far from start and now to finish in terms of the electoral officers as well as the electorates themselves and how they came out to cast their votes?
All right. Well, I would say it has been pretty impressive, if you must say. 7 a.m. Ghanaian time, that's 8 a.m. Nigerian time, as the time that was slated for election to commence, and for the polling stations we visited, as at 7 a.m. election had started. The electoral officials and the materials had arrived before 7 a.m. and there were some voters who were there waiting already by the time these materials came in. So, it was very swift and very, very on point. And then there were a lot of, checks, so to speak. The voters had to, first of all, just like we do in Nigeria, get their accreditation, check whether their names are there. And then for those who don't even have their voting cards, it's been made a little bit, I'll say digital, such that they can go give their name and then some information, and the electoral officials can check through their machines, and if truly these people were registered to vote in this polling unit, then their names will pop up and they'll be allowed to vote even without their cards, as I was told. And then even for we media operatives who have been moving around, after registration, the cards that we've been given, the IDs that we're given, have some QR codes such that if anybody wants to verify your status, all they need to do is to scan the QR code, and then if you actually have fully registered for the election, all your details will pop up and they'll see it. And we who were from Nigeria had to do that, and we were allowed to continue our work. But besides that, like I said, it's been peaceful, it's been smooth, it's been straightforward. And what's also interesting is that unlike in some other African countries, movement was not restricted. It's a normal Saturday. People have been going around their daily businesses, and yet they've been able to vote. 5 p.m. on the dot, voting stops. If there's anybody on the queue, the person is allowed to vote, but nobody else is allowed to join the queue by 5 p.m. And if there's nobody on the queue 5 p.m., voting stops immediately in that polling unit. And that's exactly what we saw here.
I'd like to find out from you, Bernard, in terms of the security officers, how would you describe their comportment in the process of this election? I mean, you said the process has been smooth so far. We learned of some reports regarding, secrecy of ballots not being there in terms of it being open to the electoral officers. But then speak to security officers and what you know about, ballots being cast, and if indeed it was secret or not.
Well, from what I've come to see, it was secret. As a matter of fact, there was a time I was trying to get some shots, and one of the police officers assigned to the polling unit had to ward me off, tell me to keep some kind of distance, so that my camera doesn't come, infringe on the privacy of those who are voting, basically. So from what I've seen, there has been that level of secrecy that I think the voters require and need. According to how voting should be around here. I have not seen anywhere where secrecy has been breached concerning voting. And then as far as security is concerned, like you asked, I would say it's really been quite secure in this area. I only saw on our platform, News Central, where somewhere, and I had to ask where that was. It said northern region of Ghana, where 2 were shot and some were injured, if I'm not mistaken, from that report. But from everything I have noticed around Kumasi, while we've been going around, it's been pretty secure. In this particular polling unit, there's only been one police officer, and she's a lady who has been standing here ensuring that everything is going safe. She's even unarmed, no firearms, and the same has been seen in most of the polling units we visited, except just a few, and those who we saw carrying arms were not more than 1 or 2, But it's pretty safe. I think the people themselves have also proven to be invested in the electoral process, ensuring that there's peace and safety and security, just as the security operatives too have been. But that's also not to say that there have not been, because there actually have been some police officers patrolling the streets of Kumasi all day.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Bernard Akedi, there, live in Ghana, bringing us up to speed as election there comes to a close. Many thanks indeed, Bernard.
Thank you for having me.
And from Ghana, we dive to Nigeria with more stories regarding the National Working Committee, NWC, of the PDP has rejected the expulsion of House of Representatives member Ikenga Oguchinyere by Omopia Ward chapter in Imo State. In a statement on Saturday, a PDP National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, declared the expulsion null and void, citing sections 57, subsection 7, and section 59, subsection 3 of the PDP Constitution, which restricts local chapters from disciplining National Assembly members. Ogochinyere, representing Idiato North, Idiato South Federal Constituency, was accused of gross indiscipline, insubordination, and anti-party activities. However, the NWC emphasized that only the National Executive Committee can take disciplinary actions against such members. The NWC reaffirmed Oguchinyere's membership and urged party members to disregard the expulsion while calling for unity in Imo State. Nigeria's National Human Rights Commission has called for an end to workplace rights abuses in the country. The Executive Secretary of the Commission gave this call during a high-level stakeholders forum which focused on protecting the rights of workers as part of activities marking the International Human Rights Day. He expressed concerns about inhumane labor practices, especially in Nigeria's informal sector, calling for an end to child labor and poor working conditions by employers in urban areas.
As we commemorate the 2024 International Human Rights Day, let us reaffirm our collective dedication to advancing human rights in all spheres, with a particular focus on the business sector. Let us work tirelessly to ensure that economic development in Nigeria is not achieved at the expense of human dignity, but rather enhances and complements it. Let us ensure there is responsible business conduct. This gathering is a crucial opportunity to forge a new path.
Stakeholders in Benin City, the Edo State capital, have called for a paradigm shift in the conversations bordering on gender-based violence, particularly regarding the role of men. And this was during a one-day sensitization program organized as part of the 16 Days of Activism campaign against gender-based violence, but this time against both genders. The program focused on the role and responsibility of men in combating the scourge via a more inclusive approach.
Not always having a program organized by the women for the women, but we deem it fit that let the men organize the program. It's not tied to only men to participate, but at least let the men actually spearhead this discussion. At that point, I was able to talk to myself as a man to say, let me act better than I was doing. And of course, I'm also able to look at the next man when he's acting in a line that is not proper, and also draw his attention to it.
Based on a survey conducted 2 years ago, we realized that, and based on data also, that most of the perpetrators of this crime, so to say, are mostly the young folks.
In the meantime, smallholder women farmers across the country have called for an end to violence against women in the course of their duties as farmers. They say women farmers continue to bear the brunt of insecurity as many of them no longer feel safe going to their farms. The group spoke to newsmen in Abuja, calling for an end to gender-based violence and urging government to do more in protecting women farmers.
Women farmers are the backbone of our agricultural economy, contributing significantly to food security, household income, and rural development. Yet, they face systemic challenges that impede their productivity and well-being. Many women farmers experience physical violence, sexual harassment, and emotional abuse, often within their homes, communities, or workplace. This leads to diminished mental health, reduced productivity, and in severe cases, abandonment of farming altogether.
Addressing gender-based violence and its impact on smallholder women farmers requires a coordinated and multi-sectoral approaches. Some of these approaches are policy intervention, enforce law and policies that protect.
And now to health matters, where the federal government has urged health authorities to activate heightened alert systems in response to the newly detected XEC COVID-19 variant that is rapidly spreading worldwide. XEC is the latest in a long list of past and current COVID variants being monitored as the COVID-19 virus naturally evolves. The directive comes after the strain was first identified in Australia and has now reached more than 24 countries. The federal government's directive was contained in a letter signed by the ministry's permanent secretary, head of the Teaching Hospital Division, Dr. O.N. Anuma, and addressed to the Committee of Chief Medical Directors and Medical Directors. The directive also highlighted the importance of collaboration and timely information sharing among health institutions and the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare to ensure an effective response. Residents of Sir Akile community located along Makurdi-Boko Road recently received free medical care through an outreach organized by several community-based organizations. This initiative, which aims to address healthcare challenges within the community, a focus on poor residents and those unable to afford proper medical care.
We have done a series of need assessment, and we discovered that the people in this community are having different health challenges, and because of their low socioeconomic status, they are unable to access the health facilities that are around them because of poor transport, funding, and other resources.
And we appreciate them so much. We give our attention to them, and we also
Hundreds of young Africans converged on Abuja, the Delta State capital, South Nigeria, for a boot camp tagged Social Innovators and Leadership, where leadership crisis, a major obstacle to the continent's development, is scrutinized and addressed with a forward-thinking approach to tackling the root causes hindering the growth of democratic systems. Experts identify the lack of robust institutions and poor governance, among other issues, as the underlying causes of Africa's leadership crisis, and suggested strengthening institutions, promoting good governance, empowering economies, and developing leadership to build capacity, expertise, and integrity of Africa's future leaders. Our correspondent, Austin Hajzu, tells us more.
People from various parts of Africa came together in Asaba, Delta State capital, Nigeria, for a week-long Social Innovators and Leadership Bootcamp event. The convener of the event, Evi Sakobi, stated that the event is organized by the Not Too Young to Lead initiative in conjunction with the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to Delta State Government on Youth Mentoring and Development.
We complain every day that our leaders are bad, Africa has leadership problems. But I ask myself, these leaders, were they imported to Africa? No. These leaders, they were once youths, shaped by the environment they found themselves. And how do we build a critical mass of young people who will tell their leaders what to do? If they are not doing it, who will diplomatically push them out and do it?
Governor Sheriff Oborewori, represented by the State Commissioner for Youth Development, Thango Tanukurai, encouraged youth to harness their youthful energy to build a strong foundation for their future by engaging in productive activities and shunning social vices.
Say, as a good follower, one day you become a good leader. The integrity she talks about, the core values, that is what really makes you a good leader tomorrow. So I want you people to put in your mind and soul and spirit so that we can make Africa a better place again for us all.
Notable speakers shed more light on how young people can shape the society through leadership and innovation in Nigeria and Africa in general.
For some of us who are here, that are aspiring to either lead, as public leaders in governments, in our communities, you must start by giving your best, as little as it is, to community service. Community service is what prepares you for that position you want that is higher than you.
So it's not about me, it's not about you. It's about ensuring that that door is open. And it's open for other people to pass. And what that means is don't make you selfish. I've seen a lot of young people, they get into the door, they close the door for others. You must make sure that you hold the door for people to pass and you leave it open.
A panel of discussants further advanced the conversation. Some participants also shared the knowledge acquired and how they plan to integrate it into their daily activities and communities.
As a young person and as a youth, first off, you need to have integrity, you need to have the drive, you need to have initiative to take your dream to where you are heading to. So yeah, that would be my take home.
I also learned that one thing we must have as a youth is the ability to serve. We should take away our minds from what we tend to get, which is the benefit aspect of it, which is also paramount, but that's not the basic. First is the heart of service.
This program is actually self-educative though, because I learned a lot of things about self-discipline, mentorship.
These youths and participants hope to take the message of the leadership training that they have acquired to their various countries and states, hopefully to be implemented in their local areas to begin their initiative of leadership change in their communities. In Delta, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
After the break, Junta chief in Burkina Faso dissolves government. Details shortly. Join us again. For staying with us, Burkina Faso's ruling military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has dismissed the country's prime minister, Apollonier Joachim, and dissolved the government. The presidential decree gave no reason for the dismissal. The sacked premier had served as the head of 3 successive governments since October 2022. The development comes amid growing instability in West African country, which has been plagued by jihadist violence and military coups since 2020. Hundreds of people rallied in Chad's capital, in N'Djamena, in support of the government's decision to end military cooperation with France. The protesters carried placards and waved the country's colors, calling for an end to French military presence. Chad's government announced the decision last week, citing a desire to regain sovereignty in national defense matters. The move reflects waning French influence in the region, following removal of French troops from neighboring countries. Donald Trump has paid visits to Paris for his first international trip as president-elect, attending Notre Dame Cathedral's reopening ceremony and meeting French President Emmanuel Macron. Trump praised the restoration efforts of the historic landmark nearly destroyed by fire in 2019, calling it a very special day for all. Enhanced security, including anti-drone measures, has surrounded Trump's visit, coordinated by French police and the Secret Service. Macron, who previously hosted Trump during his first term, aims to strengthen ties with the incoming administration amid global challenges, including Ukraine's defense. Trump also met with Britain's Prince William. A senior Saudi royal has termed Israel genocidal and an apartheid state while urging incoming U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to advance Middle East peace. Now, Prince Turki Al Faisal, Saudi Arabia's former intelligence chief, voiced hope that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu would face the International Criminal Court, ICC. And speaking at Bahrain's Manama Dialogue, he accused Israel of genocide in Gaza, echoing Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salam's recent remarks. Amnesty International has supported these allegations in a report dismissed by Israel as fabricated. The Gaza's war, sparked by Hamas' October 7 attack, has claimed over 44,600 lives in Gaza, mainly civilians, according to the Hamas-run health ministry.
Only an apartheid colonial state, but it is also a genocidal one. It is committing genocide on the people of Gaza. There is a new American administration that will assume office under President-elect Mr. Donald Trump. Mr. Trump was elected with a strong mandate that can enable him to provide the statesmanship that is highly needed in the world. This will be clear when the new administration takes office. However, it is understandable that dealing with the situation inside the United States, which faces enormous challenges, is a priority for the new president. Respectfully, Mr. President, no more brimstone and hellfire is required to bring hostages back and bring peace to the conflict. The Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank are already suffering from the hell that Israel is raining on them.
In the world of sports, Super Eagles defender Olaino has been crowned Nottingham Forest Player of the Month and Goal of the Month for November. The 28-year-old shined with a stunning left-footed strike in Forest's 3-0 win over West Ham, a goal fans voted as the best of the month. Aino also impressed defensively, playing a key role in 2 clean sheets, including a solid display in the 1-0 victory against Ipswich Town. In 14 league appearances this season, Aino has balanced defensive strength with attacking flair, earning him widespread praise. Forest fans rewarded his consistency, picking him over Chris Wood for the monthly honor. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories we brought to you for this evening. Normalcy has returned to Emir Sanusi's palace after security operatives laid siege. Chief of Army Staff Olufemi Oluyede has sought support in fight against insurgency. We also told you that Ghana's opposition candidate, ex-President John Mahama, has cast his vote in general election. You can watch Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Abo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adibola Adeduba.